Princess Catharina-Amalia of the Netherlands, the radiant and widely adored heir to the Dutch throne, was recently thrust into a maelstrom of fear, uncertainty, and national concern after a shocking horse accident that has sent tremors throughout the royal family and the entire kingdom. From her earliest days, the Dutch people have watched Amalia blossom from a spirited little girl into a graceful young woman poised to one day become their queen, embodying the hopes of a modern monarchy that is as approachable as it is steeped in centuries-old tradition. But now, in the aftermath of a harrowing incident that could have ended far more tragically, Amalia stands at the cusp of a life-altering decision that no one, least of all her adoring parents, King Willem-Alexander and Queen Maxima, could have ever foreseen. It all began on what was supposed to be an idyllic afternoon on the royal estate in Wassenaar, where Amalia, known for her profound love of equestrian pursuits, was taking her beloved horse out for an energetic ride. Those who know her say the future queen feels most herself when she's in the saddle, hair streaming behind her, laughter echoing across the paddocks. Horses have always been her refuge from the relentless glare of royal life, a sanctuary where she could forget about the pressures of statecraft and simply be a young woman reveling in the company of her animals. But in a cruel twist of fate, the harmony of that afternoon shattered in an instant. Her horse, startled by a sudden noise, reared violently, throwing Amalia to the ground with a force that would leave her with serious injuries and an even deeper scar on her confidence. The palace was quick to confirm that while the injuries were not life-threatening, they were nonetheless serious enough to require immediate medical intervention and a period of intensive rehabilitation. Yet beyond the physical bruises, it soon became clear that the psychological impact ran even deeper. Friends of the princess, speaking on condition of anonymity, described a shaken Amalia grappling with a profound sense of vulnerability, her long-standing passion for riding suddenly tinged with fear. For a young woman whose entire life has been carefully prepared for the weighty responsibilities of queenship, and whose public image has often been buoyed by her athleticism and fearless spirit, this incident represented a jarring rupture. As news spread, the Dutch public reacted with an outpouring of sympathy and protective tenderness. Across Amsterdam and the wider Netherlands, people lit candles and sent letters of support, their words filled with affectionate encouragement and a collective willingness to shoulder some of the emotional burden that had fallen so abruptly on their princess. Meanwhile, King Willem-Alexander, who has always had a tender and intensely close relationship with his eldest daughter, was reportedly seen by staff pacing anxiously through the palace corridors, every inch a worried father rather than a distant monarch. Queen Maxima, renowned for her poise under pressure, is said to have barely left her daughter's bedside, holding Amalia's hand through countless sleepless nights. In the weeks following the accident, speculation was rife. Would Amalia ever ride again? Would the psychological scars inhibit her from engaging fully with the demanding ceremonial life that awaits her? Royal commentators debated these questions vigorously on Dutch television panels, their conversations veering from cautious optimism to somber concern. But few could have anticipated the extraordinary revelation that came next. In a move that stunned her family, her court, and indeed her nation, Princess Catharina-Amalia summoned the courage to publicly announce a dramatic new path for her future, one that diverges sharply from the carefully plotted route she had long been expected to follow. Speaking with a composure that belied the personal turmoil she must have felt, Amalia disclosed that her recent ordeal had prompted a deep re-evaluation of her priorities and the kind of queen she aspires to become. She explained that she has decided to temporarily withdraw from certain royal engagements to focus on her mental and emotional recovery, and to explore humanitarian work abroad, a choice driven by a newfound empathy for those whose lives are upended by trauma and adversity. Her voice trembled only slightly as she acknowledged the weight of this decision, aware that it might disappoint those who dreamed of seeing her stride confidently from palace balcony to palace balcony in glamorous gowns and glittering tiaras. Almost immediately, responses flooded in from every corner of the Netherlands. Some traditionalists bristled at what they saw as an abdication of duty, murmuring that a future monarch cannot afford the luxury of personal detours. But the vast majority of the public embraced Amalia's candor and vulnerability with open hearts, praising her for demonstrating a kind of strength that is rarely visible in royal circles. For them, this was not a story of weakness but of profound moral courage, a princess willing to step outside the gilded bubble to confront her own humanity, to wrestle with pain and to channel it into compassion for others. Indeed, insiders at the royal household reveal that behind palace gates, discussions have already begun about how this unanticipated turn might enrich the monarchy's relevance in a fast-changing world. By placing her personal well-being and broader humanitarian values at the forefront, Amalia may well be crafting a modern blueprint for leadership that resonates far beyond the confines of crown and scepter. Her journey could redefine what it means to wear a throne, infusing it with deeper empathy and a lived understanding of struggle that no formal education in constitutional law or state protocol could ever provide. Meanwhile, King Willem-Alexander and Queen Maxima have stood firmly by their daughter's side, issuing a rare joint statement in which they expressed both pride and unconditional support for Amalia's bold new direction. "Our daughter's happiness and health come before all else," they wrote, their words a gentle rebuke to any who might question the legitimacy of her choices. "We admire her honesty and her brave heart." As Amalia prepares to embark on this unexpected chapter, plans are quietly being adjusted within the Dutch royal calendar. State banquets she would have attended will now proceed without her radiant presence. Official tours that once included her as a sign of dynastic continuity will be led solely by her parents. Yet far from diminishing her stature, this season of personal growth may ultimately strengthen her claim on the nation's affection and respect. After all, what people crave most from their royals is not flawless perfection but the assurance that these towering figures of history are, at their core, simply human, capable of doubt, of pain, and of reaching out to lift others up even as they steady themselves. In a tender scene that captured the hearts of millions, Amalia was recently photographed walking through the palace gardens, supported on one side by Queen Maxima and on the other by her younger sister Princess Alexia. Though still moving gingerly, the future queen was smiling, her face illuminated by a soft, determined glow that suggested not just recovery but quiet resolve. Observers described the tableau as a living portrait of familial solidarity, a moment that seemed to whisper of the monarchy's enduring power to evolve through love and mutual care. Diplomats and foreign royals have also sent their well wishes, with Spain's King Felipe and Queen Letizia reaching out personally, while Belgium's Queen Matilda, who shares a close bond with Maxima, reportedly offered to host Amalia for a period of restful retreat at her own private residence. Such gestures of transnational empathy underscore how the trials of one royal family ripple outward, touching others who understand intimately the pressures of public life under constant scrutiny. All of this has unfolded under the watchful eyes of the media, whose cameras have documented each cautious step, each hopeful smile, each tender exchange. Yet for once, the coverage has carried a tone of respectful gentleness, as if the entire journalistic corps recognizes that they are witnessing not a scandal or a slip but a profound human passage that deserves to unfold with dignity. As the weeks stretch into months, the Netherlands waits with bated breath to see how this extraordinary period will shape the future queen. Will Amalia return to her royal duties renewed and with a richer sense of purpose, or might this foray into personal exploration plant seeds for even more radical departures down the line? Could her courageous decision inspire other young royals across Europe to embrace vulnerability and prioritize mental health over rigid tradition? And above all, will this be the chapter that forges in Princess Catharina-Amalia not just a monarch in title, but a queen in the truest, most compassionate sense of the word? Now, dear viewers, as we follow this remarkable journey of a princess who dared to step away from the polished script written for her, only to perhaps discover an even deeper calling, what do you think this means for the future of the Dutch monarchy and for royal families everywhere who face similar pressures behind palace doors? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on your notification bell so you never miss our deep dives into the world's most captivating royal stories. If you found this as moving and thought-provoking as we did, please share this video to keep the conversation alive. What path do you hope Princess Amalia will carve next?